As a 20-something straight dude, I don't think there is a show out there that hits different when it comes to repping men and bro relationships like JJ Quintel's regular show. And I think that is because even though the series is straight up bonkers and over the top, the show ain't scared to keep it real about what it is actually like being a young man. Regular show doesn't try to make its characters look like the perfect gentleman. Nah. This show lets its dudes be toxic, unmanly, or straight up works in progress, even with all the wild otherworldly nonsense happening every episode. The show still manages to make its guys feel real and relatable. And before I go any further, gotta drop the spoiler warning. I am mainly talking seasons 1 through 4 here. Cause let's be real, the back half of the series has some highlights, but it just doesn't hit the same. I'll also be bringing up other shows and movies along the way. Consider yourself warned. So let's get into how regular show writes its dudes. And what better place to start than the main duo? Mordecai and Rigby are the heart and soul of this show. And here is the thing. They're not good people. One of the reasons regular show stands out from everything else my generation grew up on is that these dudes are allowed to just be relatable. They ain't written as some chosen one type who happened to be in the right place at the right time like Ben 10 or Aang. Nah, Mordecai and Rigby are basically the opposite of those guys who keep risking their lives to save the world. They're lazy, selfish, allergic to growth, and full-blown slackers. They take the easy way out every single time when it comes to work or their goals. And that is usually what kicks off the chaos in every episode. And honestly, that is the beauty of it. It sends a message that hits home way harder for young dudes. Not every move has to be for the greater good, or 'cause you are trying to be a saint. Yeah, in a perfect world, everybody does the right thing 100% of the time. But real talk, people are selfish, just like Mordecai and Rigby. Sometimes the only reason you do the right thing is 'cause you are scared of getting caught. And regular show is one of the few shows willing to admit that, 'cause a lot of guys grow up being told they gotta be better people 24/7s. And sure, that is true. But that expectation gets exhausting. Nobody's out here choosing to be the bigger person every single time, and that is just life. Regular show flips the script by showing that sometimes it is fine to look out for number one. And what is even crazier is these two dudes actually get away with it sometimes. Zero consequences like that episode where Rigby grills hot dogs without Benson's permission and somehow pins the whole thing on his boss. Episode just ends like that. Rigby broke the rules on purpose. Benson takes the fall, and Rigby's out here clueless, like nothing happened. That episode low-key made me raise an eyebrow, 'cause that is not how a stand-up guy reacts, but it is definitely how plenty of dudes actually act. But back to Mordecai and Rigby. What is wild is how authentic they feel. And that is 'cause they're basically written as Quintel himself. Dude pulled straight from his own life, going through college and dumped it into the show. That iconic woo sound, the squinting and snickering at each other. Muscleman's "my mom" jokes. All classic stuff guys and young dudes actually do. And 'cause the show blew up the way it did, it is honestly hard to tell if life's copying the show or the other way around at this point. People just chalk it up to geese being guys. But what does that even mean? Let's break down some solid examples from the show, 'cause regular show doesn't pull punches when it comes to how dudes actually talk to each other. I'd honestly argue regular show is the most accurate portrayal of bro dynamics out of anything I've ever watched. First off, let's talk about how the dudes on this show use clowning each other as a love language. I am gonna call it roasting, and if you don't already know what that means, bro, you've been living under a rock. The guys on this show roast the hell out of each other, especially Mordecai and Rigby. They clown each other's flaws and insecurities nonstop, which sounds weird, 'cause you'd think poking at someone's weak spots would tick them off. But for dudes, roasting is basically an art form. It is its own language, one of the low-key ways guys show love without actually saying it. You see it constantly with Mordecai, Rigby, and Muscleman. They're bullying and pranking each other 24/7. But at the end of the day, they'd still throw hands for one another. And I call it an art form, 'cause even though it looks childish on the surface, there is actual nuance to it. Regular show gets this, 'cause when you roast somebody, you are betting that they're chill enough with you to take the joke without flipping out. And 'cause you are willing to take that risk, if it lands right, that person's gonna respect you more for it. You had the guts to risk pissing them off for a joke, and being bold like that is a straight-up masculine trait. There is also trust wrapped up in roasting. When you clown a friend, you are trusting they're secure enough to laugh at their own flaws, and that even if it stings a little, the friendship's still solid. But like any gamble, roasting can backfire, and that is just part of the deal. Plenty of episodes revolve around a joke or prank going too far. Like when Mordecai and Rigby are too chicken to tell Muscle Man his lottery ticket's fake. Or when Mordecai wrecks Rigby too hard at punches and bruises his ego. This part of the show teaches young dudes that roasting has its place. It builds camaraderie way better than plain compliments ever could. But taken too far or too often, it can wreck a friendship instead of building one. I bet half the dudes watching this can relate. Drop your stories in the comments. Male competitiveness as a love language is another thing this show nails. Competition works like a bonding tool between guys, basically saying, you are worth testing myself against. A lot of the time, dudes, competing is rooted in respect. It is a way of telling someone you are good enough that beating you would actually mean something. Regular show shows this off perfectly. Mordecai and Rigby are constantly competing over the dumbest stuff. Staring contests, rock, paper, scissors, hooping against Muscle Man, and high five ghost. And it is through this pointless competing that the whole squad builds trust with each other. People love to act like competition is inherently toxic, but that is not really true. It only turns toxic if one of the dudes involved is already toxic. Like that episode where Skips takes on the whole park crew in arm wrestling and gets caught cheating. Sure, cheating's a dick move, but Skips absolutely murdering him, for it is just as bad. And the funny part is they both admit they messed up and just move on with life like nothing happened. Two dudes owning their mistakes and letting it go. That is peak bro behavior right there. Another solid example is Rigby's relationship with his little brother Don. Because of how charismatic Don is, Rigby's always felt like he is living in his shadow, and it comes out as him refusing to show affection and basically ghosting him. On the surface, competing looks petty and immature, but underneath there is real respect. Competition only works if both dudes believe the friendship can survive one of them losing. And that is what makes it so intimate. But just like roasting, the show makes it clear that taking competition too seriously can turn toxic. And that is a genuinely nuanced message to be dropping on a younger audience. You know what else builds bonds between dudes? Shared struggle and shared experience. Honestly, probably the strongest glue for male friendships out there. For most guys, your closest friends are usually the ones you suffered through stuff with. Speaking from experience, some of my ride or dies are dudes I went through high school with. Seeing them every single day for 4 years straight. Same tests, same classes, same teachers, crushing on the same girls. All of it. Those guys are my brothers, and I talk about them the same way vets talk about their platoon. Like it or not, we're bonded because we went through the grind together and can still laugh about it. The park crew is no different. That episode where Rigby pays attempt to do his job for him is the perfect example of shared experience building camaraderie among dudes. Because once Rigby checks out of the shared grind of working at the park, his friends literally start warming up to his replacement and basically forget he exists. And to bring in a real-world example of shared struggle, think about the main third space guys actually have. The gym. Gym bros end up cool with each other, sometimes without even talking, just from being in the same space and grinding through the same reps. Just showing up and being present builds a bond. And I think one reason young guys are struggling to make these same connections these days is because they're not finding those shared experiences anymore. Studies show fewer young dudes are joining team sports like basketball or football these days. You can read into that data a bunch of ways, but in terms of male friendship, it shows guys are skipping out on a low-stakes activity that could set them up with lifelong friendships. At the end of the day, shared struggle is how dudes bond, period, and regular show captures that perfectly with something as simple as a work episode. Because working alongside people means grinding through discomfort together and building real memories. And it is better to go through that discomfort with people you love than to live comfortable without them in your corner. Because when it is crunch time, the park crew always has each other's backs, whether that is rap battling Tyler the Creator or brawling in a karaoke bar. Mordecai, Rigby, Skips, Benson, Pops, High Five Ghost, and Muscle Man always pull through for each other. And there is something low-key beautiful about that. Because guys don't really talk about their feelings with each other. We process our emotions by just being around each other. Like when Mordecai doesn't want to talk about Margaret moving away, Rigby doesn't push it. He just sits down next to him, showing Mordecai he is not alone in it. Genuinely one of the most touching moments in the whole show. But in the rare moments the guys do open up verbally, it is done in such a clean, understated way. Always a short but powerful moment between the male characters. And Muscle Man gets a lot of these moments. He is written as this loud, toxic, macho, and I say that with quotation marks, obnoxious dude. Loud, arrogant, offensive, basically a walking caricature of everything people don't like about guys. Somehow, he has still got a girlfriend though. Usually he is the rival to Mordecai and Rigby, but it is when he shows real emotion and vulnerability that he really grows on you. When Rigby needs a mentor, Muscle Man's the one who steps up and teaches him. When he is scared his friends won't miss him after getting scouted to be a gut model, he only feels better after opening up about how he really feels. And in one of my favorite episodes, when his dad passes, he opens up to Mordecai and Rigby about their bond, and what a great guy he was. And the two of them go to bat for him, even putting their lives on the line to help him out. Which brings me to one of the biggest roles guys play in each other's lives, lifting each other up. Because by the end of most episodes, even if they're not directly tied to the problem or even the victim of it, the park crew always shows up for each other. Real friends might roast you all day, but when it matters, it is your boys who show up, and regular show nails that truth perfectly. And what other side of guy culture does this show get right? No, not. My mom jokes. I am talking about dudes in love, because as much as people clown Mordecai for being a simp with zero self-respect, when it comes to Margaret, I think a lot of young guys have seen themselves in his shoes. And honestly, that is fine, because I know I have too. Through Mordecai, the show nails what it is like being scared to shoot your shot, because you are scared of getting rejected, or just constantly waiting for the right moment. It shows how damaging that fear actually is, and how messed up it is to build your whole life around what someone else might think. Because at multiple points, Mordecai picks his feelings for Margaret over his own best friend, and that creates beef between them that honestly didn't have to happen if Mordecai just focused on literally anything else. And even when he finally gets with Margaret, he is willing to erase their first kiss entirely just cause. It doesn't match the perfect version of her he built up in his head. Mordecai's a simp and deserves to get clowned for it, but so have plenty of us, myself included. And that is the beauty of it. Watching Mordecai be a spineless coward about love was probably a reality check for a lot of young dudes who grew up on this show. If you were in love while watching this and had any self-awareness at all, regular show basically handed you a blueprint of exactly what not to do. That is just a required canon event for personal growth at this point. And in contrast, that is what makes Rigby and Eileen's relationship so good. It happens organically. Rigby never chases her or tries to reshape himself into her dream guy. He just exists, stays true to himself, and somehow still pulls a certified baddie in the process. And that is how regular show writes its dudes. Real, authentic, and relatable. And if you ask me, that is straight up fire.